pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, motion to approve the agenda as presented. Thank you, Aaron. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Nick. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Conflicts disclosure. None. Public communications.
I got a couple things. Right off the bat, I have a little explaining to do for my vote last month in favor of moving the bond forward. The reason I did that has nothing to do with my personal feelings on the issue. I simply believe that when this district takes on long-term debt, that the public should get to vote on it. And that's exactly why I voted as I did. I've been fielding a lot of questions about the bond. I think I see that's on our agenda, so I'm going to leave them there, correct?
Yeah, I think action item G, we've always been leaving that on there in case we had discussion or we had to take things. Tonight we have the public meetings. Yep.
Lastly, last month, I think the person is here who called me a gray-haired guy with no kids in school, that I should not be able to vote. I believe it was you, correct? I did not respond, but I'm going to now. The reason I do is I have a vested interest in this issue. I graduated from this district, not this building, but my wife graduated here. Both my kids graduated here, so I do have a vested interest. And another reason is this gray-haired guy pays taxes. And I probably pay more taxes than all of you sitting at that table combined. So that's why I get a vote.
No, I fully agree with that. I just feel like
Well,
we're either staying stuck or we have to move forward, given no matter what the age.
that's all I have.
Okay. Any other public communications other than item G, Armory, bond vote, cats? Okay. Moving on to motion to approve the minutes as presented within your board packet.
So, second.
Thank you, Joel. Second. Mark, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the financial statements as presented in your packet. Thank you, Nick. Was that Nick? Aaron, sorry.
Second.
Thank you, Joel. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the claims as presented in your packets.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Nick. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to accept the snow removal bid as presented within the packet. Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Discussion.
Looked good to me.
These are the same people the same business that did it last year, so we know what we expect.
Snow removal, was the service good?
We didn't have any.
Haven't had no snow.
Yeah, we didn't have as much snow last year.
What is out here? Do we move, or do you just let the snow pile on the turf, or you move it, or
Let it pile up.
just pile?
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to select our delegate assembly for Association of South Dakota School Boards. I believe it's November 21st. Larry, you can't attend this year. If you want us to, we can nominate you if you want us to, buddy.
Give me wheels?
What's that?
You gonna give me wheels?
We could do that possibly.
07.
Let's get a motion to discuss if we can.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
I think it was Larry last year that was our delegate assembly. I've gone to it in the past. Does anybody want to jump on board with that?
I can't.
I am not available November 21st. I'm in court. It is very good to go to. I mean, the year I went was the year that they didn't want to do the Pledge of Allegiance anymore at the beginning of the classroom, or the class day. And I was glad I was there and I had a chance to speak, and they decided that was not going to be their position anymore. That was pushed by the Sioux Falls School Board back then. Nick? You're the last man standing.
I've done it before also, I mean,
Mark?
I possibly could, but I'd rather see one of you guys, it's a good thing to go to.
It is. It's purer than this year, isn't it?
Yeah. Their
It's always,
You go, Jim, you go?
I've only gone when I've been a delegate assembly for the Principals Association Superintendent, but I'm not in that position, so I could ride with if you want me to, be a spectator.
What day of the week?
it's a Friday.
I mean,
November
I-
21st.
If I can make a ride, I would.
At 1 o'clock.
What's that?
At 1 o'clock, so.
It lasts about 3 hours. I mean, they're usually out there by 4.
What day is it?
Friday.
This Friday?
No, November 21st.
No. Okay.
I'll do it, but if I can't go, does anybody else want to pick it up?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll be the alternate.
Okay,
more than likely I'll be able to.
motion to approve Mark and alternate of Nick. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the temporary salaries as presented within your board packet.
So move.
Thank you, Nick. Second.
Alright.
Thank you, Aaron. Discussion. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion, do I have to do for the contracts separate motions?
Yes.
Motion to approve Austin Dolney as a special education paraprofessional.
So moved.
Thank you, Mark. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Joel. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve Amy Knudsen as assistant cross-country coach.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Nick. Discussion.
This is a numbers based.
It was numbers when we set the, if I remember right, Nathan, correct? We set the number once they exceeded that, and now this is prorated for the number of days, correct, on the
Correct.
contract?
Yes.
Based upon our schedule, correct, and our years of service?
Yes.
Okay? Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve election workers, yeah, that's what's next. Election workers for the November 4th election. Thank you, second.
Second.
Thank you, Nick. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve I want to say this right, a additional special education teacher position due to our additional caseload. And we'll have Mr. Case discuss them once we get into that.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second. Thank you, Aaron. Discussion, Mr. Case, go ahead and take it.
I did put an ad out for a special ed teacher. The reason for that is our elementary caseload in the special ed room is going to be up to 28 for one person, so that's quite a load.
And that's not speech only, that's all LD or more significant.
Right, which some do have speech along with it. So yeah, I did put that out, but I have only received one app so far. So Dr. Block, myself, and Amanda Stalkin, we met with a consulting agent today. So that would be a possibility of having them come in and help the kids out. And then also I got a tip on there might be somebody out there that might be looking for a para position. So I'm gonna look at that avenue. Nothing has been decided yet, but we're kind of shying away from the teacher as of this point. Just because it's kind of a bad time of the year to try and find a teacher. So I think, you know, come around in spring, we'll throw it back out there and see what we get for apps. So we're just at that point because special ed requires a lot of paperwork, and it's a lot of paperwork for Amanda right now, but actually she said she's doing okay and is doing a great job doing that paperwork right now. So right now, I think we're just gonna focus on looking at a para, or utilizing that consulting agency, or possibly utilizing our subs to come and help. In the classroom, working with kids. That's where we need the help. So,
Long-term, we really need to look at an additional special ed teacher. When you look at our loads, K-12, and compare us to similar school systems, I'm not saying we're behind, but other school districts have already made the decision to have more special ed teachers than what we have with the caseload we have, or comparatively.
Could the co-op be of any assistance in here? Or-
not necessarily, we are pretty much on our own
Okay.
for
And
that.
that's not a
Yeah.
service that
Right.
they provide. It's generally the higher needs services that we would get from the co-op.
And this would be a special ed budget item,
Correct,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
That's what I was just saying, that does not affect our general fund, that's special ed.
Yep,
Okay.
correct.
Two questions for you. Number one, does it make a difference if we advertise in December? Are there graduates halfway through? Would that make a difference?
You know, we could always try. I'm sure there are a few, you know, in December, but yeah, we could throw it out there then at a later time.
And the other thing, could you get for some, I know you had given me, when you mentioned this, you know, some examples where other districts are. Can you get us some more examples for the next meeting as to where we are in comparison to numbers with neighboring districts and where they have their staffing at?
I actually did have that, but I forgot it. I did not bring that with me. So yeah, for example, I know Britain, they do have 2 elementary special ed teachers, and their caseloads are smaller than what we currently have total. So they are working with 10 to 15 each. Yeah, I can bring it at the next meeting.
That'd be good. So there's no action then really to take tonight other than to keep looking with what we're currently doing with possibly the para and the substitute teachers, correct?
Yep, we're still in the brainstorming mode, and hopefully we'll get it solved here within the next few days.
And are we kind of, gentlemen, of the agreement that if you did have something that was to pop up as a teacher, that let us know, because we would
Right.
be interested. We know those are difficult teachers to find.
Yep.
Is that fair? Okay, we won't take any other action on that then. Okay? Motion to open discussion, any action items as to the armory / bond vote / cast group.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Nick. Okay. What we have, gentlemen, is 2 things. Number one, as we said during this summer, that we would have more public meetings prior to the vote. Well, with the vote taking place November 4th, we need to set our 2 public meetings, one in Webster, one in Roslyn. And I believe there's been proposed dates. Nathan, do you have those because of the schedule? Do you have those handy?
October 27th for Webster, 7 o'clock. And then October 30th, Roslyn, 7 o'clock.
Okay,
I visited with Tom Squires. He's able to attend at least one. He's going to try to attend both, just in case there's questions for anything with the architect or the plan, floor plan or anything.
To interrupt you, but I know that there is games and elementary games in Roslyn that night.
Yep, we were hoping we could maybe just take the concession area, and then the people that show up that night could see how much the Roslyn gym does get utilized. So maybe that would be a good thing for that gym.
okay. So we have our October 27th and October 30th meetings. In addition, the vote would be November 4th. Mark, you had some items that you wanted to discuss.
Oh, the only thing I've been fielding questions and basically is, what is it going to cost me from taxpayers? The simplest way I can explain this is take your tax form and wherever it says taxable, or I mean, help me out here.
Equalized.
Evaluation,
Equalized
taxable
valuation.
evaluation. Add those all up and take that times .0011, and that will give you your tax liability for this particular bond if it were to pass. Because everything will be levied at the same, ag, owner occupied, commercial, it'll all be the same. So, just for instance, it doesn't take a very large farm to be valued at $4 to $5 million. If it's $4 million, it'll cost you $4,400 per year for 20 years. If it's $5 million, it'll cost you $5,500. Vice versa. $1 million, $3,300. 100,000 is $330.
Would it be 110?
What, 110, 100,000, 110.
Million would be one.
.0011, multiply your taxable
Yeah.
valuation times .0011.
I have
That's,
a question. That number is gonna fluctuate depending on other factors. That is not a solid number every year. It could fluctuate. Is that correct or is that wrong?
That is the answer is yes, it could be 1.1, it could be $1.07, it could be 0.98. It all depends on if it passes. First of all, it has to pass. Second of all, then you would have to get bids. You would have to have it meet the bids. At that point in time, then you would go out and that is when you would secure the bond. So none of us would know what the interest rates are going to be, realistically, 8 months,
But
9 months. So if
Yep.
the interest rate will get set at the time the bond is taken. That interest rate never changes.
Okay.
That is set. The only reason the interest rate would ever change is, for example, I do know that the school, we refinanced, I think, our original bond that we passed in 2000, whatever year that was, Lori, right? Was it 05 we passed? Interest rates dropped where it was good for us to basically refinance the bond, drop the interest rates. The city's also done that with projects, county has done that, the state does it. I mean, it's pretty common with governments doing that if interest rates drop. So your interest rate will never be higher than the date that you take the bond. It could drop. As to the second part of your question, yes, it just depends on valuation. Everybody is different. Not one of us individuals, as you said, Mark, are the same. Whether you're a young family that just owns a single family home in Webster, or you're a farmer that's been in business for 40 years, or whether you have a commercial business here in Webster, everybody is going to be different. But the calculation, you can do Mark's math. There's another way of doing it, of just saying, hey, take what your valuation is, divide it by 1,000, take that times 1.07. You know, that's also another method. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You'll still get to the same estimate, but again, that's all anybody can ever give on this, is an estimate. The only thing that is guaranteed is the bond at the time that you take it, and it cannot be worth more than 12.5, because that's what's been put to the vote.
You're basing that on 12.5 mil?
12.5.
Okay. In the past, you've stated now, if the bids come in above that, you scrap the mission?
The bids come in above that, number one, I don't think, so that's the question for the board at that time. What if a bid comes in at $12,550,000? Do you scrap the whole thing, or do you say, hey, go raise $50,000? I'd respectfully submit you say go raise $50,000.
Or substantially more or less.
Yeah.
The plan that you're proposing, if the bid comes in over whatever, if it's over, would you downsize the project to stay under the 12.5?
Larry, can I jump in here for a second? I think it's really important to note that what we've passed is the 12.5 to take to the voters. If the voters so choose, to pass that, it comes back to the board. We sit down with the architects, the engineers, we design the project. We can layer the project with different alternates so as to try to stay within the 12 million. What if it comes in at 10 million? We'll be able to utilize alternates to get us where we need to be. That's my opinion. But right now, you can't focus on the building. We got to focus on the bond.
The bond, but people need to know what they're voting for.
Absolutely. And one more point I want to bring up, just on the valuation. When I came on the board, the Webster School District's valuation was $505 million. Right now, we're at $849. So we've seen about a 1.65% increase in the last 10 years. I don't know if it'll continue to increase. I don't know if it'll decrease. It depends on if people quit buying homes or stop going to land auctions. I don't know what they'll do.
So what was the number you just said?
855 million is our approximate valuation as of today's date.
So I got that number too, and so just if you stay within Day County, because Webster District has some.
Clark, Coddington,
Yes,
Marshall.
other counties.
Yeah.
But it's like 787, from 24 payable in 25. In Day County, it's 787 million and change. If you take that times the $7, so this opt-out would raise 842,000 in 1 year.
Well, number one, it's definitely not an opt-out. We gotta be very careful about what phrase we use. An opt-out is a completely different creature. An opt-out is funds that are used for our operating costs for your general fund. A bond is an investment in infrastructure. When we do this bond, none of this money goes to our general fund. It is purely for that facility. That's it. So an opt-out, which, like for example, we've seen our neighboring districts doing, Groveland, Langford, that's to pay staff, busing services, insurance, electric bills. That's the way the opt-out would be. So this is a bond issue.
So it would raise, within Day County, at the 787 million, that's from the auditor's office, that's what's within Day County, like taxable assets, equalized value for 24 into 25. So it's gonna raise, this bond is gonna raise at $7 about $842,000 a year?
I haven't done the math on that, but
Yeah, take it times 0.11, approximately, give or take a few dollars, but yeah.
depending on what the interest rate is, yes.
But it doesn't matter, and I'm asking you this question, Jody, I don't believe it matters if it's Day County only,
No,
Webster School District, it's Webster School District.
It doesn't, it's just,
Am I correct in that?
Right,
Okay.
right. My point of view was, it's gonna take $842,000 out of this community into that building. It's gonna have a huge financial impact on this community. I don't have time in my life to go get a second job to pay my increased taxes. I don't know that anyone does. So it's like I have to come up with the money. That means I'm not spending it on something else in Dade County. I'm just telling you, that it's going to have a significant impact, a positive and negative, on the community.
I would say this. I don't disagree. I get asked the question all the time, what's it gonna cost? And no matter what the cost is, it is gonna be significant. Whether, as Mark said, you have the $100,000 home, or you have the $5 million farm. Every cost will hit every person in this room differently. And I don't think anybody should ever minimize what that cost is. I don't think they should. I think the answer, though, is on this, is that I look at it as an investment. Our community, we like to pride ourselves in being progressive, as growing, as here for the future. I don't think there's one person in this room that thinks that our community is going to be done in the next 10 years, 15 years, or 25 years. If we're going to continue to be a community that is relevant in the future, we are going to have to invest. And no matter what time we decide to invest, there is going to be a cost. When we did I go back to the pool issue, we passed that 66%. That was $2.67 per thousand. That is a significant amount more than the $1.07. Again, it was an investment. That, if we put it into this, it's an investment. If we put it into the school that was done in 2005, it's an investment. When they did it in 1954, we were lucky. The federal government and the state government paid 90%, and then the city, or between the city, federal government and the state, they paid 90%. I think the school only put in 10%. We got lucky. It's going to be an investment. I get it. I'm a firm believer that those things that are worth having are a struggle. This bond vote, if it passes, it won't be 100%. The minority does get to control. 40.01 gets to decide. If 59.95% are for it, the 40.05 win. That's the bottom line. That's the way our state works. I think Mark is right, that it is good that we put this up for a vote and conversation. I wish it was easy. I wish we had somebody that was just going to write the check. But no matter what we do, I do look at it as an investment. It is no question of cost. Every family will have to figure out if that's worthwhile to them.
Are you,
It's not that I don't want it, I'd love to build $1 million steel building and have multiple courts, or build 3 steel, spend $3 million and have way more, I feel, bang for your buck, and get the kids some courts. I don't know.
I will tell you this.
Courts.
I will tell you this, Jody. After the first meetings that we had from the public, I really listened to what people had to say. And I went to that first meeting after we changed on July 1st. Nick and I went on to Buildings and Grounds. I went to that first meeting with the architect, to Tom Squires, and I said, look, you need to make this at $8 million. Needs to be there, because that was the number Mark Hansen had thrown out at a meeting, says $8 million. I said, we need to make it at $8 million. He says, okay, well, you aren't going to have your courts. You're not going to have your the court size that you want. I said, and I was there like, what do you mean? Just take out all the seating. He goes, you don't understand. This isn't about the seating. You can have 100 seats in there or 1,500 seats. It's about the square footage. The bond that we've got right now, or the building that they are proposing, is as small as we can get it to have the full length, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan, the full length basketball court, the 2 volleyball courts that are side to side, the wrestling room, the 2 mat, am I right when I say 2 mats? Which is the equivalent of what they have right now. And then, you know, the architect says, hey, I can maximize your value because instead of doing a weight room beside it, we just go up. There's only 1 set of locker rooms added on. They took out the concession stand, they took out all of those extras. He basically says, if you want to cut it down in size, then what you'll end up back with is the current Webster High School gym, which we all agree isn't the right answer. Is that a fair statement, how he corrected me that day, Nick? And that's what opened my eyes. I wish we could make it a $7 million, $8 million project. I wish there was a way that we could build just $1 million steel building and that it would work. But a couple,
I want to add in there a little bit too, Jody, you know, I don't discount your idea, but as a board, we have to sit back and look at, does a building here and a building there and a building here, we continue to spread out costs, add additional, you know, expenses to the budget. More than likely, I shouldn't say this, but that might be a capital outlay expense at that point. Then that has real ramifications on our budget. You know, to me, and then also we got to spend a couple $1 million just to retrofit the armory to be able to continue to use it. And that, along with everything Tom said, you add in those couple things, that's what's gotten me to believe that this is the right project. I realize it's super long-term, it is a big expense, but when I look at the school district for the next 30, 40, 50 years, I really believe that this is the best plan.
Have you reached an agreement for the 20-year lease with the city?
so we have reached out to the city. That is, you know, I'm also the city attorney, also school board president. I have spoken with Mike Grosick. The school, as we know, has Rodney Freeman as their attorney. The city would use an independent attorney, not me, so that there was no issue that anybody could conflict those type of things. But yes, their position is they're willing to move forward on it, but we wouldn't do it until either the bond passes or it doesn't. There's no reason to invest the money in the attorneys from the school's position with Rodney Freeman or the city's position, because if it doesn't pass, then we've just spent money on nothing. So after the bond passes, then yes, we would go forward with those type of conversations. If it doesn't pass, then we don't need to.
If the bond passes, you're gonna be spending, I would say, $100,000 minimum for design, engineering, specs, whatever. And then, of course, in order to obtain bids. So you are gonna be investing money.
If the bond passes.
Yes.
You're correct, Larry. That's exactly why we don't, you know, everybody says, give us the specs. Well, you're not going to do the specs unless the bond passes. You can only have artist renditions right
And
now.
the specs are gonna cost you a minimum of $100,000.
Which we have,
That's part of the
budget.
estimated budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if the bid comes in over, then you have to resize it or whatever. So as a board, where I'm headed with this, the expenses, are you prepared if it doesn't pass for any other options? Are you looking at anything? Or
Well, the one thing, I'll just jump in. You gotta remember is number one, the estimate that they've given us for the addition, and this clue is, do you have that handy, Nathan? What is the addition is, even with their reserve, is 11 million. $1.5 million is the repairs to the Army. So for example, the biggest number that we would have as a alternate when we bid it is the roof. Right now, as to estimates. We have been given an estimate,
600,000
676, 664 as to the roof.
and 300, 400,000 for a sprinkler?
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Just those two items.
correct.
I'm just
Air
saying.
conditioning,
That's another
400,000.
400,000. I'm just asking the board if,
Well, I'll jump in here. I would say as a board member, if we're gonna sell this to the public, we couldn't cut, and say it comes in over, we can't go and cut, say, we're just gonna cut some of this out of here so it fits the project. No, that isn't, we sold it to the public as this project. You can't cut, I'll just pick the roof of the Army. We'll just say, oh, we can't do that.
That's gotta stay.
Yeah, well, we can't, I mean, that's not up to us. If we sell a bond, I mean, I'll step out here, I'm not gonna go. We don't have that authority to cut parts of the project.
Can I ask you this, Mark? If the bond were to pass and the bids were to come in, well, who cares where the bids come in? If we're going to build a new gym, competition level gym, is it a wise expenditure of taxpayer dollars to spend $400,000 air conditioning the old armory? I would respectfully submit, no, it's not. So I would try to save those dollars.
Same here, no question.
So then why are we telling the public we need it? We're telling them
Actually, we're not.
We're not.
well, it's,
We
Those
gotta go
were,
back to this worksheet that we all have.
You know,
these are all alternates, these are all
Yeah.
options. That's where we had that discussion. Remember, you made the motion for 11, then who made the motion? Did somebody go 13? What was it? I don't remember how we went back and forth, and we finally went to the 12.5. But I thought we had at one time, we had people that
talked about it.
yeah, we were talking about with different numbers. All of these things, for example, I think we had the conversation, somebody made fun of the, I keep saying I want to take down the carpet.
Tom's carpet roof panels.
Yeah, I want to take down the carpet roof panels. I think they should come down someday, all right? And I think somebody said, well, they might stay.
I say leave them up. If we've got a new competition gym, why are we gonna spend 100 and whatever thousand to do that?
And then I also
Again,
think, why does it
that's
cost $100,000 to take down a piece of plywood? That's my position. I think that conversation is again what we would have to do as a board. We're not, I don't think anybody has said it is guaranteed air conditioning. Those are options that would have to be within the specs.
And let's remember, this is simply a roadmap to get us to a number to present to the voters. It's gonna be on this board to do the design.
Correct.
If the bond passes. Throw this away. That's our responsibility.
We absolutely need something. I was never, you know, of course, my main contention was off campus, which I'm still a believer of keeping something on campus if at all possible, just so it can be used during the day where you know busing and you're locked the school down. Those are some of my concerns on that end.
So how many of you been in the new dual gym that they just put up 2-3 years ago? So we were down there the other night and played football, and we went over with the athletic director. We were talking to him about that gym, and it was a $9 million project. They added a foyer on the front, this gym, and we were sitting there and asked him, I was like, what would you do different? He's like, it's gotta be way bigger. But they were landlocked. They made that gym so small that they ended up having to take out an extra row of bleachers. The visiting side has like 5 rows of bleachers. The home team has maybe 10. And then you look, they got a little jog out in there. If you're practicing volleyball or basketball in there, there's literally 6 inches from the out of bounds line to a corner of a brick wall. That's a liability. Somebody's gonna go for a ball, you get intense in a competition, you're gonna go for it. Somebody's gonna get hurt. He said he would totally redo it and make it right, but they didn't have that option.
I'd agree 100% with Matt. I think the dual game for volleyball was immediately following our last board meeting. And I walked into the dual gym and I said, if we built this in Webster after we passed this bond, the community would be upset. This is not what Webster would want. It's not the right size, it's too small. You're 100, it's that far, what I would say, left-hand corner on the home team side. There is a jut out of the wall that if somebody goes running in there, they're 6 inches from that corner. We wouldn't be happy, so I agree with you. We have to do it right. We can keep cutting it down, and then eventually we get with the Webster High School gym. And I don't think there's anybody in this room that would say, let's build another Webster High School gym the way it currently is. I know I wouldn't.
So when you talk about the high school gym, obviously there's no locker room here on site now, right? There's nowhere for the kids to take a shower, change clothes for PE, correct?
Correct.
So do you have a game plan for?
We've already been using the restrooms across from the gym as a dressing area. When it comes to showers, one of the alternates that we had with the 50s wing, if we kept part of it, long before this insurance situation, was to put in new shower rooms, and they were only looking at 2 showers. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's good or bad, but the kids don't shower anymore. So really, all you need is a dressing room and a restroom. I think that's disgusting, but that's the reality when it comes to showers. So it's not ideal, but we have been using the restroom across from the gym for the junior high games, grade games when they do need to change. Our PE, I believe, is doing that. Those that wish to change, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off of you. Like, I enforce kids to bring a change of clothes, to encourage them to shower after PE class. No, in 3 years, I think maybe 2 kids have done it. That's, I guess they don't care that they walk around filthy and sweaty all day.
There's showers in the armory, and my girls are always texting me to say, somebody's coming over to shower after volleyball practice in the morning, or lifting in the morning. They don't shower in the armory, they come to my house, a block away. I would respectfully submit if we invested money in showers. I mean, we have to do something at the armory. Those old locker rooms from 1960, we think, that are still the 1960s, what I consider the locker rooms from the 1980s were good. They're not getting used. I mean, they're just not. We still have to upgrade those locker rooms. Those 2 locker rooms are in tough shape. Our new locker rooms are 1994.
Would showers get used more if they were private showers? Cell phones, all
So
that?
the female locker rooms already have private showers. The male lockers, that's just historically how it's been. I even go back to my hometown, and that was built in the 60s. And for whatever reason, the girls had separate showers than the boys did. I would say no, because there's just so few students that shower anymore. If you see any plans, you are seeing locker rooms with showers and restrooms, but the number of showers in any new facility is very, very minimal compared to what it used to be. And it's just purely because they're not used. Our proposal with one of our options had 2 showers in the boys' new locker room and 2 showers in the girls'. No lockers, it was just basically benches and hooks. Because even lockers don't get, well, I don't know if the lockers get used much or not.
Not for the visitors.
Jody, I think to your point, something that I am very interested in is, when this wing is gone, we have space. What are we going to do with it? What's our long-range plan now? What's our master plan look like with that gone? I think we have to be thinking about that, especially from a fine arts perspective. We do have some deficiencies. I think we're behind on some things. Some programming that we can't even realize because we don't have those opportunities. So I think there's an opportunity for us to look at things like that as we look at what's the next project, what's that next investment look like.
But do you think if the taxpayers?
Absolutely, I'm with you. I get it. Yeah, and I think that's where I've struggled with this whole. There's a sequence almost to how we do things, right? And it's maybe not addressing all of our needs with this project, right?
That's where I don't know. I was at the first couple CATS meetings,
Yeah.
but I mean, once again, I would love to see courts, but in a different form than a $12 million building. I would, and then maybe the fine arts gets what they want. Maybe we can I feel like kids should take a shower, like we could have locker rooms again, I would like to see everybody get what they want, and I don't believe that a $12 million building down there is gonna get everybody what they want.
It won't. Nobody should ever think that anybody on this board thinks that it's gonna get everybody what they want. It won't. There's always gonna be something that this school needs to improve on. We didn't stick with the original building that was still here when I started kindergarten. It was built in what, 1910? And then they did the 40s, and then they did the 60s, then they did the elementary school in the 70s, 90s for the new middle school, 2000s. If our community wants to remain relevant, there's gonna be these hard conversations in 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and the city will have them too. That swimming pool that we built, it won't last 75 years. We wish. Someday they'll have to have that conversation all over again. The football field, the track, that was a great facility when it was originally built in again, what? We had to update it again. I think these conversations are good. They're tough. I wish it was easy. I wish that we just had the money, but again, I'm gonna come back to it. I'll take the heat for it. I think we do need to invest in the community. And that's what I see it as. It's definitely a cost, but it's an investment in the long term.
I think it's important to remember too that the proposed 12.5 would be capped at that 107 if our valuation stays the same. I believe our valuation is going to stay where it's at, if not slightly grow. But, Mark, you came to that last board meeting with a wonderful idea of applying the pledges to the back end of that thing. I think we have an opportunity before it even gets off the ground to cut a substantial amount. I mean, I'm not talking about cutting it in half, but I don't think it's out of bounds to say we could cut 10, 15 points off of it before we even start.
The mill levy we concentrate too much on that. That will fluctuate with the valuation of the district. Your personal payment, as long as your house stays the same value, will stay the same. If it goes up in value, your taxable liability will be about this. The mill levy may drop when the valuation goes up, but your tax liability will stay about the same for the duration of the bond. Because the payments are not going to change unless the board changes the refinances. Annual payments, correct? They're going to stay about the same. That's so your mill levy might float with the valuation, but your tax liability is not going to vary very much.
It's just going to depend on your property.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, the bottom line is, people come into my office, if they haven't sold their property in 25, 30 years, and then the new buyer comes in, they're usually getting a little sticker shock, because that's when all of a sudden the assessor sees, oh, that house that was originally at 25,000 is now selling for 200,000. And look, folks, there's houses in Webster that we didn't think would sell for 50,000, and they do sell for 200,000 now.
Here's a tax assessment on a house in Webster that's equalized at $69,000. I don't know what that was equalized at 15 years ago when the bond for the pool passed. But what did you say that bond started at?
$2.70 or $2.63, something like that.
It was in the $2.60-$2.70 range, and now it's down to 20 cents.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right there. The mill levy went down, but the tax liability stayed.
No, it went down 20 cents.
Well,
Went down
not,
$2.
$2, yeah.
the
20.
mill levy did.
Yes. And I don't know what the valuation did. Today it's
Yeah,
at 69. I don't know what it was 15
We
years
don't
ago.
know that either,
Yeah.
but
It's just like land, I mean, we don't know what anything will be in 10 years.
you just have to educate yourself and know. I've had so many people come to me after on issues like this. I didn't know. Well, God darn it, you have to know. You have to educate yourself and figure out what you're. Don't come afterwards and say, I didn't realize this, or I didn't know, because
I'd agree with that.
that doesn't cut it. You need to know.
Other comments?
I think it's important probably to maybe not address, but just consider, to Jody's point about money not being spent in the community if their taxes go up. For perspective, If we don't have enough space to support like youth athletics, etc., we're sending kids to Aberdeen to play Matchbox, to this, for this basketball program. So then people are going to go to Aberdeen, spend thousands of dollars to put their kids in programs in Aberdeen, and while they're in Aberdeen, they're gonna eat in Aberdeen, they're gonna buy their groceries in Aberdeen because it's cheaper. They're gonna buy all the stuff for their house in Aberdeen. So essentially, in the same token, we're sending money out of our own community if we don't invest in it.
I agree with that, Kristen, but that's not gonna change. We're still gonna send our kids to those programs, even if we have the facilities here. The Matchboxes, the Y, the...
If you have to. Like personally, I'm gonna let my daughter play volleyball here. She can practice here. Sure, we'll do the Y games. I'm not gonna go spend $2,000 to put my daughter in Matchbox unless I don't have an option for her here. And I know a lot of parents feel the same way. But that's my opinion.
Okay. Any other comments? Want to make sure everybody gets a chance to speak.
Tom, can I say something?
Yeah.
I think we talked a lot about sports as it relates to the Armory project. Today, in fact, I just wanted you all to know that there were 12 schools from the eastern part of the state in town for a junior high music festival that utilized the Armory. There were more than 80 band members and 150 singers. And we have the facility where we can house them. You know, the singers were here at the school, the band was down there. They had a combined concert at 5 o'clock tonight at the Armory. It was awesome.
It was packed. Couldn't get out of my driveway.
Yeah, there were parents that drove from Esteline and Iroquois and all that to be here. So, I mean, those are the other uses that I think we're able to cultivate, right? And not displace the teams that use that same facility. So, anyway, just FYI.
That was great, Nick. It was a good day. I think they had a really good showing for that. To sort of piggyback on what you were saying though, what people don't see is junior high volleyball couldn't have practice today because we don't have a facility, and varsity had to, you know, essentially clean up and have a late practice because of cleaning up after the music equipment and stuff like that, which is a great thing. They didn't complain about it. They did it, they dug in, they moved all the equipment, but if we would have had a facility, junior high gets practice, and varsity can probably start at things like that. That's what the community doesn't see, but I see on a daily basis. It's constant.
Yeah.
It's
and my
constant.
daughter was C team, so they didn't have practice because they didn't have enough room and space, which I totally get. The C team girls actually got together and went to Roslyn Gym tonight to just do a practice on their own, which is great. But then I have a 15-year-old driving to Roslyn, coming home in the dark. You know, it's just, you have all those kids that are, I mean, it's an option, but because they couldn't practice here, they all got in the road.
But couldn't it have been lined up to bus instead of them going on their own? I mean,
yeah,
couldn't
I think they did it
last up
last
there?
minute. I mean, it was just like they knew they didn't have practice days, so like, let's get together. They know they need to work on some things, so they put it together, and it worked. But yes, I would like to see a bus or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know Kevin's very good about that, and
For sure.
I know like Sioux Valley School District, all their middle school sports are practiced in the morning before school. So then the other teams have the gyms.
I think we have a much larger geographic area than Sioux Valley.
It's
I would guess.
gotta be cool. I mean,
I know a guy down there too, and I like that idea.
Yeah.
When I first heard it, I'm like, it would be a transition.
Right.
I think there'd be some growing pains with it, but it's...
I know back in the day, cross country was always in the morning. I mean, whether they were 6th grade, it was 5:45, and
yeah, I think when I leave for work, I see a lot of them running in the morning.
You're right, Nick. The Armory is, I mean, Darren Waldner brought it up to me. It is the center of our community. It's been there for 71 years. if major events are taking place in the community, it's at the Armory. I don't know what was there Saturday night.
Firemen.
Was it the Firemen's on Saturday night? But that's because there's also pheasants, Shriners, I mean, there are so many events. Every weekend, there is something at the Armory. It isn't just the youth activities. There are a ton of activities that take place at the Armory. It is the center of our community. And that is one thing, no matter what, these 2 pages, we have to do something eventually. That $600-some thousand roof, we can't just wish that away. That will have to be fixed at some point in time, whether we take it out of capital outlay dollars and it's a boom, one hit, one time, or can you spread it out over a bond over 20 years? To me, that's the smart investment. That's what families do with their own homes. You put major investments out over time. I hope it passes. That's where I'm at. Everybody, I had some nice couple that stopped into my office today. At the end of the conversation, I asked them if they had any questions, and I said, well, what's your thoughts on the vote on November 4th? And then they laughed. Everybody knows where I stand. Hate it or like it. Either way, we all get to come in here, have reasonable minds, and we can differ. If we don't always see eye to eye, that's okay. Where it's bad is where we just go to war over it. That's never good. It's better to always bring the community together as much as we can. I really believe that. With that being said, anything else other than to vote on having our next meeting, public meeting, October 27th. What time was that at? 7 p.m. in Webster. And October 30th, public meeting at, is that also at 7? 7 in Roslyn. Any other comment?
Something to Kristen's point, and that is, you definitely have a point, like Matchbox, that's all, that stuff is very expensive. But for the youth sports that I've seen here, if you want to pay competitively, you have to leave Webster to do that. And I don't see that changing with the new facility, which, I mean, that would be great if it did. But if you want to work on it, get better, play competitively, you have to go join a travel league or do something else. It's just, that is not very prevalent here, I feel like.
And just and not to like battle back and forth continuously, but I think that's also because we don't have the capability to support the number of kids that want to be active in these things. I mean, we don't have the capability or the space for the girls to practice as much as they would like to.
Okay.
Or host the camps, etc., etc. But I mean, I totally understand what you're saying.
I agree what you're saying too. It's just, it is part of the sports culture here.
Okay, with that being said, all in favor for next public meetings to be October 27th at 7 p.m. in Webster and October 30th at 7 p.m. in Roslyn, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to superintendent report, Dr. Block.
I don't have a lot here. We just had parent-teacher conferences last Thursday. So there was some confusion with even some of our students. They thought we had Friday off, last Friday. Oh, we don't have school on Friday. I said, no, we do have it this year. How that originally planned was we were supposed to have the Dare to Share in service last Friday, so we would have conferences Thursday night and have in service Friday. Something with the scheduling of the speaker unfortunately went in a different direction, and we moved it an entire week. I shouldn't say we, I blamed all on Mitch Reed, the superintendent at Florence. So, but that's what happened, and so unfortunately this week we have the day off, and it doesn't correspond with our conferences. Conferences for the elementary are generally very well what do I want to say? Attended. Middle school and high school, I've said this for years, I wish we could find some other means to do it, and maybe it's not as necessary to continue to do what we're doing, or expecting that we have high numbers come out because parents have access to the grades, the students have access to the grades. It just is a little disheartening at the secondary level when you have, 6 or 7 parents come in and you've got 3 sections of 25 students. So that part's a little disappointing. We've thought about other options, so if anybody has a suggestions as to how we could increase the attendance, or maybe do something completely different that's more meaningful, I'm all ears, and we've been saying that for several years. Nonetheless, the opportunity is there, and I think those that do participate in it, they are able to come, or they correspond with the teachers prior or after. We have a lot of means to communicate nowadays, so. The Dare to Share is on Friday. I'm sorry.
Can I just add?
Yep.
So we have the same issue, obviously, where I teach with high school, middle school. In the past, we've done, they get like 5 extra bonus points or 10 extra bonus points if their parents come for that grade, which some kids obviously need that, so that was an incentive. And then I think another year we did, I think like each parent that came got like a free popcorn or pop or something like at a concession stand of a game. Like gave away some type of little voucher for, I mean, could be anything. And it did help. The bonus points helped tremendously, I would say. You could ask him as well if there's other ideas, but I know we've tried those in the past.
Okay.
Just a couple options.
I know Webster did the bonus points before, years ago. I mean, when my oldest was, so that was, it's nice.
The kids might tell the parents to go.
Good, those are good
Yeah.
examples. We do have the Dare to Share this Friday. One thing we're adding this year is we're taking our sophomores and our juniors to an assembly. For us to take the entire high school is a little bit difficult for us to logistically to do. And so we're taking sophomores and juniors over to Summit on Thursday for an assembly in the afternoon. Same speaker that the teachers will hear on Friday. He's known as the tattooed skateboarding principal. Apparently has had some challenges in his life. I don't know how old he is or whatever. So we look forward to that. Very well talked about speaker, so we're looking forward to that. Working on the personnel record forms, I actually submitted them. Those are the reports that I have to fill out every fall regarding our teachers. We get a lot of information from Lori regarding salary for each teacher, their years of experience. Probably the biggest thing is to make sure that everybody that is working for us is certified. We always have some teachers, I should say always, probably within the last 10 to 15 years, we have some teachers that maybe need some additional certifications or renewals in certain areas. We have had a lot of alternative certified people in recent years, and so when that occurs, I have something that's called a plan of intent that we have to submit regarding, okay, this person maybe isn't completely certified in a specific area, even though they're teaching it, and then this is their plan to get certified. Generally you get 2 to 4 years to get full certification. So the state was having some issues with the system. I was fortunate enough to get them done in time. They went without any issues, so I'm pleased. We're done as a district, but I know some other districts that are still finishing up with those personal record forms. And then we actually I attended the Regional Associated School Boards meeting up in Langford a week ago, 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday. There was actually a nice sized crowd there. The director for the Associated School Boards, Keith Larson, was there to basically kind of walk us through what the services and resources that the Associated School Boards provides to us, which is a very, very valuable organization for us as a school district. They are also the ones that put on this delegate assembly so that we as a district can go and share our opinions regarding legislative issues that are going to come forward, and then kind of the joint efforts that the Associated School Boards is going to have regarding those issues. Nothing major that came out of it. They're looking at things that are happening at the national level and things that are happening at the state level, sort of trying to predict some legislation that might come forward. And I've talked about some in recent meetings, but there wasn't anything new that was earth-shattering for me to take any notes. So that's all I have for the superintendent's part. The rest is regarding buildings and grounds.
Sounds good. Any questions for Dr. Block? Thank you, Dr. Block. Mr. Case, principal report.
Dr. Block pretty much covered it all, kind of quiet on my front right now, so. Unless you have any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Case. NESC.
I can't think of anything new from the last time. Still ongoing building discussions with the building that they own, the co-op ones, so,
Nick, I'd like to have a conversation with you about that.
yeah.
Because ultimately, that's gonna cost every school district. We're the ones that have to pay for that, and I don't think that would be a special ed expenditure, so.
Yeah.
Some major concerns about that.
Absolutely. There's a committee that's been formed that's going to look at that. What are the options? Do they continue to invest in it? Where should they be located? I mean, I think they're going to cover a lot of topics related to that, Lori.
Move it to Webster. We'll take them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No joke.
It's not going to be a fast moving process, for sure.
No, but I think
Yeah.
these
Let's put a
concerns
committee
need to
together,
be
Tom,
brought
we'll
up
get 'em.
before
I agree.
Absolutely.
they get.
Bring the employees here.
I'll come and talk to you. Yeah, we meet Monday, so.
Okay, anything else, NESC? Buildings and grounds.
So I have a few things here. The demolition of the 1950s is the first topic. We're still prepping the building. We have discussed truck routes, parking, street closures, those types of things. I have information that I'm prepared to share with the parents as soon as we know a timeline. I would say right now the timeline is going to be early next week before there's any trucks going. I'm a little hesitant to say that, even if Joel disagrees with me on that, only because we still don't have the heater above the stage taken out, and Redlingers has not done any repiping in the gym, which I have no idea how long that takes as a I'm not a construction person myself. I would guess it's a 2 to 3 week process to get those pipes installed. They basically have to drill through the precast in 2 different areas. One on the east end of the gym that goes into the utility room where they store instruments, and one that goes through the north wall where it will actually connect into the pipes that are already in the ceiling going into our new pump room. I think that's a significant project. I'm a little bit concerned as a superintendent. Of course, we had unseasonably warm weather when we shut the chiller off, and so it was hot. It was terrible in the high school. And now we're seeing unseasonably cold weather when we don't have any heat, so I'm a little concerned about that. I want them to move along. I contacted them again today, no response. I am frustrated with Redlingers right now. I hope that they have some crews ready to come and get going, because they have a lot of work to do, in my opinion.
Jack is coming over tomorrow morning to meet with us. Would you like me to light a fire under him?
Jack lit a fire, I thought. I mean, he put a bonfire out 2 weeks ago, and people moved in, they were moving and shaking for about 2-3 days, and then it's just subsided. I think they are, on their behalf, I would say they probably have so much work to do and so many projects that they've just overscheduled their current workers.
There won't be any trucks hauling next week, but in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I'd like there to be, and not to hijack your report here, but don't be alarmed tomorrow if you see an excavator show up. We need to take just part of that garage down so that we can cut the hole into the boiler room to take that floor out. So if you see an excavator show up tomorrow,
it's not the big one.
We would be excited.
There's not going to be a lot happening. It's just a little demo, but yeah.
So the wrestling program right now, our plans are fully to go out to the baseball fielding. We have moved. There were 2 layers of wrestling mats downstairs. We have taken the top layer, rolled them up, took them up. We did not roll them properly, by the way. It was a bunch of basketball players that did it, along with some wrestlers, but there wasn't enough wrestlers to give us the expertise. But we've got them out there. They will be prepared to unroll those and use them out there. We've talked to Chad. We've looked into, whether or not that the mats can stay on the floor out there on top of their turf. And the suggestion is that, once a week they roll them up on the weekends. Roll them to the north one weekend, roll them to the south the next weekend, so that that floor has a chance to breathe. The mats probably aren't going to sit on the stuff and have some chance to breathe too. So we've got a lot of things going on as to how that's going to work. It is not ideal, but I do believe it's going to work. If nothing else, we will see how it goes, and if it doesn't work well enough for us, then we can look at other options if that's truly what we need to do. I have to thank a ton of people for helping move stuff, including a lot of our students. There's been a few times where I've come and grabbed 10, 12 kids out of study hall. They're just throwing pencils around doing stuff like that anyway, so we put them to work doing something productive by moving mats and moving desks and different things like that. So it's been a big coordination, and we've got pretty much everything out minus a few things. So I'm ready to see it start coming down.
Can I just bring up one thing on that subject? I fully support the plan. I want to make that clear. I think that's what we need to do. But I have been reached out to multiple times by the sniper folks. Kara Ferris over in Bristol, they have the Sniper Wrestling Academy. And she's just informed me and wanted the administration and the board to know that if there's ever a need, they are absolutely willing to do whatever they can to help us. And she's talked to me about, she's quite versed in the South Dakota High School Activities Association rules, where we couldn't practice where her program practices, but she says we've got lots of space, lots of mats, I'll give you your own spot if you need it. So it's just good to know that our neighbors over here in Bristol are 100% supportive of us and what we're doing, and will help us in any way that they can.
Tell her thanks.
Yeah,
Even if we don't take advantage of it, it's very nice of them to even offer.
Yep.
Okay,
That's what I have right now.
any questions for Dr. Block?
So Dr. Bach, the heater that's on the stage now, where's that going?
So originally, it was planned that was going to go to the baseball building. And we hadn't discussed it specifically, but we were looking as the school would probably pay to have it installed, and then we would donate it to that facility and it would stay there for good. As we don't really have a specific use for it otherwise. Unfortunately, and fortunately for the baseball program, they have actually looked into more of an HVAC system where they can actually heat and cool, and they need ductwork. This is not a furnace that can be used for ductwork, so we still want to take the heater out, set it aside, and consider other options for it because it's only 1 year old. But I believe the baseball program and the city are going to be looking at a different direction for their heating and cooling. And part of the reason they were looking at that is they had the original main part, and that's all we thought we were going to use. The heater would have been perfect for that, but they also need to now address heating and cooling in that addition. And this heater wouldn't have really done anything for them in that addition. So.
Okay, anything else for Dr. Block on building and ground? All right. Next board meeting is Monday, November 10th, correct? Any problems with that? Monday, November 10th at 6 p.m. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Thanks, Mark. Second?
Second.